Hello, beautiful soul. In this life, we all face problems. Things can happen that upset us, maybe even distance us a little from life. But knowing when those problems start to harm our mental health is very important, both for solving the problem and for healing from the psychological distress it brings. In this video, I want to talk to you about some signs that may indicate your mental health is struggling. At the very core, each of us needs to love ourselves at least a little, to value ourselves at least a little. If someone doesn't love themselves, even hates themselves, and this isn't just a temporary feeling like a bad day or a rough week, but something deeper and longer lasting, something that's been going on for a long time, like self-hatred or feeling disgusted by who you are or feeling worthless. This could be a sign that you're going through a mental health issue. People with healthy mental states usually find ways to cope with problems or fight to overcome them. But when someone is experiencing psychological problems, something different often happens. There's a problem. Sometimes it's even an easily solvable problem, but instead of confronting it, the person avoids it. And they develop avoidance strategies. Some avoidance strategies are seemingly harmless. The person sleeps whenever they can. They escape into sleep. But sometimes it goes further. When someone feels bad, when someone treats them poorly, instead of facing it, they turn to food. We call this emotional eating, and it often leads to obesity, or they may choose heavier forms of escape. They turn to alcohol or drugs because, while they're using these substances, they don't have to think about the problem. But when the effect wears off, the problem is still there. So, what do? They increase the dose. More alcohol, more drugs. That's how the cycle begins. Some people escape into shopping, others throw themselves into work, becoming workaholics to avoid their problems. These are all warning signs. Our relationships with others also say a lot about our mental state. For example, I always ask my clients, do you have friends? How's your relationship with your family? If you're having issues with everyone around you, fighting with everyone, holding grudges, struggling to connect with others, feeling utterly alone, if you can't even recall one person in your life right now, this too may be a sign of psychological distress. Sometimes we had good relationships in the past, but something happened. We became fixated, obsessed, maybe developed an anxiety disorder, and suddenly our relationships start falling apart, our work or school performance drops, our ability to concentrate suffers. And this isn't something that happens just for a day or two, it continues, and it gets worse over time. This is another sign. People with healthy mental states can balance their desires and their fears. We all have fears, things that make us hesitate. But if someone is mentally struggling, they become a prisoner of their fears. They may have many dreams, but even taking a single step feels impossible. It's like they're trapped in a cage of thorns. They can't pursue their desires, and because they can't, they feel deeply unhappy. But they also can't overcome their fears, so they remain stuck in a painful cycle, far from happiness or peace. This is also a sign that something is wrong mentally. One of the biggest clues to mental health issues is addiction. Addiction is when something hurts you, but you keep it in your life anyway. This doesn't just mean drugs or alcohol. It could be a toxic work environment, a harmful relationship, or even emotionally abusive people. Many people keep such people in their lives just because they're emotionally dependent. This dependency drags their mental health down. Even someone who was mentally fine can suffer deeply if they stay in toxic relationships for too long. We all go through pain. We lose loved ones, we experience breakups or financial failures. We fall apart for a while, and that's natural. But people with a healthy mental state eventually adapt, not by forgetting, but by moving forward. They may still feel sad, still miss someone, but they come to a point where they say, yes, it still hurts a bit, but life goes on. If that adaptation doesn't happen, if someone suffers for 5 years after a 1-month relationship, if they shut themselves off completely after a loss or failure, then they haven't adapted. They've let their fears control them. And that too is a sign of mental distress. We all have routines, eating habits, sleep schedules, social lives. Even if people around us don't say it out loud, they probably know things like Wilson eats lightly, or Wilson sleeps early, or Wilson is more social. But when our mental health breaks down, these routines can fall apart. Someone who usually has little appetite may start binge eating. Someone who eats normally may suddenly lose all appetite and lose weight quickly. A light sleeper may suddenly sleep all the time. A heavy sleeper may start lying awake, battling their thoughts. They may cut off all contact with others, or on the contrary start having random and unhealthy relationships. If your usual patterns change dramatically in a short time, this too is a warning sign. Another clue is this feeling. When you look around at others and think, how are they happy? Where do they find joy? Why does life feel so heavy for me? If you feel like you're in a dark box and everyone else is fine, that's a sign something may be wrong. Sometimes we obsess over tiny things that others don't even care about. Fear of illness, fear of contamination, fear that something bad will happen. Even when the people who love us say, "You're overreacting, Wilson, this isn't a big deal," and even strangers confirm it's not serious, but you still obsess, and your anxiety grows, it affects your sleep, your relationships, your daily life, then yes, that, too, is a mental health issue. Relationships can heal us, and relationships can destroy us. If you're in a relationship that keeps you constantly on edge, if you're always arguing, always tense, you might think you're used to it. You might feel like it's your normal. You might not feel much mental pain anymore. But just because you don't feel the damage doesn't mean you're not being harmed, emotionally and even physically. If the tension never ends, if there's always some drama, then this relationship may be silently ruining your mental health. Pay attention to that. Feedback from others can be valuable, but who gives that feedback matters. If it's someone narcissistic or mean-spirited who always tries to put you down, don't take it to heart. But if people you trust, people whose opinions you value say, "Hey, maybe you should talk to someone. You don't seem like yourself. You seem more anxious. You don't seem happy lately," then you should really listen, because you may not see it yourself. You might think everything's normal, but if these signs I mentioned are showing up in your life, and not just for a day or two, but consistently, over a long time, and even getting worse, then yes, you may be struggling with a psychological problem. Many people think they can solve these problems on their own, and maybe if the problem is mild, they can. But for moderate to severe issues, getting help is essential. Still, many hesitate. They think, what will people say if I go to a psychiatrist? Will they call me crazy? But the truth is, many mental health issues can be treated, some with therapy, some with medication, and many with a combination of both. There's a lot of stigma around medication, and I understand why. In the past, some doctors prescribed meds too easily. They gave out antidepressants like candy, and that created a bad image. But that's no reason to avoid medication when it's truly needed. In many cases, the best solution is both medication and therapy. Just one or the other often isn't enough. If you're experiencing the signs I mentioned, what should you do? Start with a psychiatric evaluation, see a professional. A good psychiatrist will guide you, whether you need therapy, medication, or both. But you have to take that first step. Otherwise, people spend years, even their whole lives, living in pain and darkness. You don't have to live like that. Thank you for listening. Beautiful soul. If you found this video helpful, please like it, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, don't forget to do that too. Take care of yourself. See you soon.